the student end. Okay, so I'm going to hit record a response, and hopefully this works since I have my camera down here in the corner. Yeah, it does. Okay, so I can record for up to a minute 13, and I'm going to walk you through some of these things too. So they open right up to the video to record their video. And you can see that big red record button is how they would do it. And then here's kind of the fun part about Flipgrid is they have these effects. So they can add filters, they can add different frames, emojis, they can add text, they can draw on it. There's a whiteboard, and I'll kind of go into that a little bit here in a second. And then they can also add photos. So the fun thing about Flipgrid is it kind of blends in some of the stuff that we're used to with social media, say like Instagram or Snapchat, into this educational setting. That's why it's a little bit, I would say, a little bit more engaging for some students. What I wanted to really show you though was this whiteboard. So if you were going to have students record a video and they don't want to show their face, they can turn on the whiteboard and they can pick different kinds, and it will cover the whole screen. And so that way you can still be getting their voice, but they don't necessarily be seen, because I know some kids are going to be touchy about that. If you, and kids can show this to them too, if they want to have both their screen and a whiteboard at the same time, they use a slider to make it split screen. And you can see that their camera pops up on the left there. So that's an option for them. The way I'm kind of using this with my kids, especially for ones that don't want to be on camera, is showing them how to use that whiteboard feature, because I'm sure some will want to do that. Another cool thing with Flipgrid in terms of a video response, if you go to these three dots for the options, so they can upload clips of videos they've already made. They can mirror it, so flip the camera essentially. They can turn on their audio off, but this is my favorite, is they can record their screen. So just like I'm using Screencastify to record my screen and my webcam, they can do the same thing within a Flipgrid response. So if, let's say, they were showing you something on their screen, you wanted to explain maybe what's going on in a certain like PhET simulation. I always think of science. So they're watching the simulation go on, and they have to kind of explain what's going on within that. They can capture both their screen and their webcam at the same time, just like I'm doing in a really easy way. And so that'd be something to think about depending on what you're using it for. Oh, and then these two buttons here in the top right, so I can see if I hit show topic, it just tells me the prompt again. So if they forgot what they're supposed to be covering or responding to, it's all right there. And then this is how they would add sticky notes. So if they want to maybe write something and then talk about it, they could put it even on a sticky note. And you can see that in the video as well. So I'm gonna hit record for 2 seconds. And I'll show you what the selfie looks like. So just like I just did, I recorded my video. Now I'm done. Now it's going to have me take just a picture. I guess I edit it first. So this is where I would edit. You can add more. Pause here. But they can trim. It's not the greatest editor, but it works. And then this is where they would, and then this is where they would take their picture, which is like the thumbnail. And again, if they don't want to have their face show, they can just go to that effects again. And then, like I said before, they would just use the whiteboard to cover it up again if they didn't want to use that, and then take their photo. And then essentially they just submit, and then it would be up for moderation for you once it's uploaded. And then they put their name. That name should be tied to their Google account, so I don't think that there's going to be much wiggle room in there. And then if they want to provide a link maybe to work, they can do that, and a title. And then they would just submit. And then for that teacher end, so I'm the only one that can view this right now. Other students would not be able to view this until I would approve it. So that's kind of Flipgrid in a nutshell. And like I said, really the reason I think this would be an interesting tool is it's basically a way to kind of have students engage in conversation, but it can be done either during class or asynchronously, especially with kids that aren't able to log in live. And they can still kind of, at least if anything, they'll be able to hear each other's voices. Some will hopefully be able to see each other if they're comfortable with their cameras on. And I think that's going to go a long ways for students being able to feel comfortable and connected to each other, either in the classroom or virtual, as well as, well, basically this is kind of a great thing until we have those breakout rooms, because I think once we have breakout rooms, it will help to make smaller groups within your Google Meet, and then maybe students will feel comfortable chatting with their neighbor like they used to when they were sitting right next to each other. So if you have any questions, I'm still kind of figuring out Flipgrid, but I'd be more than willing to look it up for you or help you out. I know there's a ton of great resources about Flipgrid on the internet too. So if I don't know the answer, I know I'll sure be able to find it, because this tool's been around for at least a couple of years, and there's been a ton of really high profile ed tech people that have been really excited about Flipgrid, and they come up with amazing resources and how to's and all that kind of stuff with it. So if you ever need any help, I would be more than willing to help you. Hopefully this helps in your classroom. Bye. Hello again. I forgot to mention this too. So let's say I've created a topic for one class. You don't have to remake it from scratch every single time. I found this to be really helpful. If I wanted to, let's say, copy my say hello, I would just click that checkbox next to it, and then you would go to this actions drop down, and then you can do a number of things. But the thing that you'd want to do is duplicate, and then you can basically duplicate it to another class. Kind of like if you use in Google Classroom, you can reuse a post. It's the same idea, and that's going to save you lots of time.